The start to the Major League Baseball season is officially underway, but unfortunately, didn't go as planned for the New York Yankees right out of the gate. We'll talk about the Yankees series loss to the Toronto Blue Jays and preview their upcoming series against the Baltimore Orioles on this brand new episode of the Pinstripe Talk podcast, which begins right now.
You are listening to the Pinstripe Talk podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another edition of the Pinstripe Talk podcast, powered to you by Delahanty Media. I'm your host, Nick Delahanty. This is our Blue Jays opening weekend series recap show, and unfortunately, we would have loved to have had a series where the Yankees ended up winning the actual series, but the Yankees dropped 2 of their first 3 games of the new season. Don't panic, people. 162 game schedule. We got 159 more to go. Yeah, a little concerning. We're going to go over the gist of the whole entire series and kind of break things down for you. But you got to remember, each game does count, but it is early on in the year. Today's show, like I told you, we're going to go over the Blue Jays series, kind of look ahead to the Orioles series. Man, the Orioles are coming in hot, having swept the Boston Red Sox in their opening series. You know, it's not going to be an easy task for the Bronx Bombers, especially given that Baltimore's playing good baseball early on. But we'll look into that toward the end of the show. Before we get into things, reminder, follow us on social media at Pinstripe Talk ND on Twitter, my personal account at Nick Delahanty. You can find our show's official Facebook page by searching up Pinstripe Talk Podcast. And reminder, our show is available on all podcasting platforms, Apple Podcast, Google Play Music, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, you name it. Our show is there available for you. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review on whatever podcasting platform you choose to listen to our show on. And as always, our show is also available on our YouTube stream. Make sure you subscribe on there for all the latest news and information regarding the Delahanty Media brand. And as always, you guys already know the deal, DelahantyMedia.com for all your information on our show and everything else that the Delahanty Media brand has to offer. All right, let's jump right into this series, starting with Game 1, Thursday. You know, it was an exciting day for Yankees fans. We had the 1 o'clock first pitch. The Yankees were scheduled to open up the series and the season for Major League Baseball, so all anticipation was in the Bronx. Now, Garrett Cole was on the mound for the Yankees, and he was Garrett Cole. We're going to get to him in just a moment. Now, this game did not feature much offense. Most of the offense came in the second inning of the ball game. The Blue Jays got off to a 1-0 lead on a Gurriel Jr. single. It was a short kind of blooper to center field. That got them on the board. The Yankees answered right back with a Gary Sanchez 2-run homer in the bottom half of the inning. More on Sanchez in just a bit. And the Yankees held a 2-1 lead going into the 6th inning. Cole settled down, looked really good. Pitch count was getting a little bit high, and unfortunately made a mistake that cost him. Teoscar Hernandez hit a home run 437 feet into the left field seats to tie the game, and that was the momentum killer for the Yankees. Yankees holding on to that lead up until that point. This game would eventually go into extras. The Yankees had a chance to win it in the 9th. Tauchman gets thrown out at the plate after stealing second and third base. Tricky situation there, and then the 10th inning rule comes back to haunt the Yankees. Grichuk, who it seems to be a Yankee killer. Guy's unbelievable against the Yankees. Hits a double with the runner on second base rule. So it's a runner that Nick Nelson did not put on base, but it is, in fact, credit to him. It's not an earned run, but he does get the loss for this one, unfortunately, because of it. Yankees, with their runner on second base in the bottom half of the 10th inning, could not get anything done. Merriweather, the closer from the Blue Jays, strikes out the side, and that's your ball game. Some things to note from this ball game. Let's start off with Cole. Touched on him a little bit. 5 1/3 innings pitched, just under 100 pitches. Did strike out 8 batters, was 1 shy of the Yankees franchise record for the most in an opening day start. Cole looked good. Cole had his moments where he did get into a little bit of a jam, but for the most part, he was solid. Made the big mistake to Hernandez in the 6th, but other than that, he was Garrett Cole. Yeah, the Yankees would have liked to have had him finish out the 6th inning. Personally, I thought that they might have even pulled him after 5, knowing that there was a pitch count limit. I didn't think he was going to come back out for the 6th. Nonetheless, Aaron Boone has a lot of confidence in his guy and kept him out there, and it's a mistake Cole would like to have back, but unfortunately, it was a big turning point in the game. Chad Green comes in relief. He goes almost 2 innings of work, allows just 1 hit. You see a dominant Jonathan Loizaga. Darren O'Day makes his Yankee debut, and he's solid, gets into a little bit of a jam himself, but gets out of it. And then Nick Nelson, other than the double to Grichuk, he was good too. Unfortunately, he gets the loss in this one, but the pitching side of things, the Yankees were definitely solid. Offensively, yeah, you could blame the 10th inning rule for hurting them. You could point to a couple of different things that, didn't favor the Yankees, but when you go 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position, you leave 10 guys on base. Your 2 through 6 hitters combined for 12 of your 13 strikeouts. That's not really a recipe to get the job done. And you know what? The offense failed the Yankees in this one. They didn't get the job done. They didn't do as much as they needed to get a win, and it came back to haunt them. Now, honestly, let's look at this situation, right? Bottom half of the 10th inning, you have a runner on second base with no outs. You have Hicks, Stanton, and Torres up. You're assuming you're going to score a run. You have the middle part of the order. Other than maybe LeMahieu and Judge at the top, those are 3 guys that you wanted to play in that situation. And to have the at-bats they had, they were very uncompetitive at-bats against Merriweather. It just didn't go in their favor. Weren't even able to put the ball in play. So, a very frustrating opening day, to say the least. The Yankees limited to just 6 hits, 2 of which came from Gary Sanchez. 2 more came from Clint Frazier. The rest of the Yankees lineup combined for just 2 hits on the day, including an 0 for from LeMahieu, a 1 for 5 from Judge, an 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts from Hicks, an 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts from Stanton. Just not a impressive performance on opening day. So you could point to a couple of different things in this one. The Hernandez home run, the 6th off of Cole. Did Boone leave him in too long? That's something that on opening day, it's a question that you can ask. The rest of the bullpen was great. Yankees struggled offensively, to say the least. Ryu kept them off balance all day. You saw a lot of very ugly and awkward swings. Is that just an early season type of thing? Who knows? But you chalk it up as an opening day loss, and you kind of turn the page to game 2, and you hope that you can make it up in game 2 and get right back on track. Now, turning the attention to game 2, I don't know about you guys, but I went into this one a little bit more nervous than I did on opening day. And that was because it was the first start of his Yankee career for Corey Kluber. Now, Kluber has an impressive track record, impressive resume, but you have to remember, over the last 2 years, he hasn't really pitched, limited to just 1 inning last year. It just hasn't been on the mound. For a guy like him, you know what you can expect when he's healthy, but I think it was just a holding of the breath type of moment to make sure all went well. And before we get into the actual game, Kluber looked good. For the most part, other than the 1 inning where he struggled with his command, you saw Matt Blake go out to the mound, kind of calm him down a little bit. I felt like his control was really good. It was something that we didn't see toward the end of spring training. It seemed like he was more in control of everything on the mound. The composure was there. The confidence was there. He was working rather well with Sanchez behind the plate. So overall, I was impressed with what Kluber brought to the table in his first start. Limited to just 4 innings of work, his final stat line, he allowed 2 runs, 1 of which was earned, while allowing 5 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. Did allow a home run to Simeon in the 5th, a solo shot, but really, other than that, the damage wasn't necessarily done against Kluber. He did a rather nice job, limited to 74 pitches. I expected his pitch count to be somewhere between 70 and 80. I didn't expect him to go much higher than that, if any higher than that. I think the Yankees want to ease him in and really work to get him back on track. But let's get into this game, shall we? The Yankees go on to win the ball game 5-3, and the offense did a little bit more than they did in game 1. And that was the main thing. That was the crucial part of it. Yankees get on the board early once again in the bottom half of the 2nd inning. 2nd straight game. They used that inning to get on the board. LeMahieu, a little infield single to third base. allow Gio Urshela to score. The Blue Jays tied the game up in the top half of the third inning. That was a really ugly play. With runners on first and third, Kluber gets Biggio to strike out. The runner on first breaks for second base. Sanchez makes a bad throw. Gleyber, unable to control it, allows Simeon to score to tie up the ball game. But 2 innings later, now with the game tied, Gary Sanchez comes back up. He homers for the second consecutive day. Gary becomes the second Yankees catcher in franchise history to homer in the first 2 games of the season, the first since Elston Howard did it in 1963. Howard went on to win the MVP that year, so if that's any inclination as to where Gary's going, I think Yankee fans are going to be very happy with him this year. The Yankees added another run later on in the inning on an Aaron Hicks infield single to put him up 3-1. Then the aforementioned Simeon homer in the top half of the fifth. That would kind of chase Kluber out of the ball game. I think at that point, Aaron Boone was like, all right, I've seen enough. Let's go to the pen. Yankees tack on some more runs on a Jay Bruce single, which scored 2 in the bottom half of the 6th inning. The Blue Jays do add another run later on in the 7th, but are unable to come back. That's your ball game, 5-3. Let's look at the pitching numbers. We went over Kluber's line. The Yankees bullpen was, again, very good. Jonathan Loáisiga, I'm going to talk about him at the end of the show. I want to give him a little bit of his own time here. He goes 2 innings, doesn't allow a hit, doesn't allow a base runner, strikes out 3. He ends up getting the win in this one. Lucas Litke, the story of spring training. He comes out, his first big league appearance since 2015. What a story for the 33-year-old left-hander. He goes an inning. He does allow a run, but he settles down and does a really nice job for this Yankee team. Then Darren O'Day comes in. He gets 2 outs, gets into a little bit of a jam, but Aaron Boone goes to Chad Green for the 4-out save. And Green was dominant. Strikes out 2 over an inning and third of work. So once again, the Yankees bullpen comes out and is really impressive. You got to love the depth of arms that they have and that these guys are effective so early on in the year. Let's look at some notables offensively. We mentioned Sanchez, his second homer. Yankees really haven't had much power early on in the year. They did a little bit better in this one with runners in scoring position. 4 for 10, which is a lot better than what they did in Game 1. They did leave 12 guys on base, which definitely does hurt, but they were able to do enough to win the game. After an 0-for on opening day, LeMahieu comes back with 2 hits. Judge follows up with 2 hits. Urshela also had a multi-hit game for the Yankees. They also had a couple of guys scattered with 1 hit apiece. Struck out 10 times as a team, but knowing this Yankees team, you're going to see a lot of strikeouts. So you got to be impressed with Kluber. You got to be happy that Kluber's on the mound and that all went well. You got to be very positive reaction toward his stuff and how composed he looked and how he was able to work in and out of trouble throughout the day. And you got to love the Yankees bullpen. The Yankees offense didn't let him down like in Game 1. And now you look to the rubber game in Game 3 to try to win the series. The rubber game on Sunday afternoon, which we just wrapped up a little while ago, I thought the storyline was going to be the Yankees starting pitcher, which was Domingo Germán, making his first start back after sitting out all of last year due to his domestic violence case. But that was not the circumstance here in this one. He gets outshadowed by Michael King, and we're going to get into that in just a minute. The Yankees end up losing this game 3-1, but the storyline was Michael King. Domingo Germán last 3 innings, it seemed like he was a little too amped up at times. Seemed like he was very excited to get back on the mound. They said that he ran to the bullpen to go warm up at the beginning of the game, and it just seemed like there was too much energy, a little bit too excited. He lets up 2 home runs that were really his downfall. Had to really work through those 3 innings of work through almost 70 pitches. And Aaron Boone said, you know what? Let's go to the pen. Not only does Germán have a big pitch count early on, but he had to work in and out of trouble. A couple of strenuous innings there. So early on in the year, it didn't make sense to keep him out there. Germán got roughed up in the 2nd inning. The Blue Jays hit 2 home runs, the first coming from Vladdy Jr. He hits one to right field. Then Randall Grichuk hits his 15th career homer against the Yankees. He goes out to left field, and that scored 2 runs. And that was all the Blue Jays would do in this game. And that's in thanks and in courtesy of Michael King. King comes in relief to start the fourth inning and gets right into trouble. Walks the first batter he sees, then he lets up a single. A little while later in the inning, Kevin Biggio reaches base on a catcher's interference call. King gets out of the inning, and that was it. That was all Michael King would allow over his next 5 innings of work. King goes 6 strong innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. He got 6 innings of work with 68 pitches. To put it into perspective, Germán through 3 innings threw the same amount of pitches. So credit to Michael King. Unfortunately, what probably happens for him is he's probably going to the Scranton Shuttle. He's probably getting ousted to AAA, but what a performance. He deserves a lot of credit for this one, and I'm sure he's going to be back in some way, shape, or form in the near future. The only reason why he's going down to the minors is to give the Yankees another fresh arm to utilize. He was impressive. Just very controlling of the strike zone. You could see the confidence, and if you're the Yankees, you hope that he can continue that, whether it's as a starter, as a spot starter, or in that type of role in the bullpen. It really saved the Yankees, because if you look at the Yankees bullpen going into today, you can make the case they were probably without Chad Green. They were probably without Loizaga, probably without Darren O'Day. So instead of having to tax the rest of the bullpen, knowing you have 3 more games coming up in the next couple of days, you have a guy like King who's able to put out the fire and really hold the Blue Jays at bay and save the rest of your pitching staff. So bravo to Michael King. If you're looking to name a player of the game, that's your guy. He was absolutely incredible. As for the Yankees offense, not so much. Once again, the Yankees offense puts up a clunker. They're only able to score 1 run on a Gardner RBI groundout in the bottom half of the 5th inning. And that was courtesy of a Frazier bloop hit where he hustled out of the box, got a double off of it, and then on a sac fly was able to get to third base and was able to score on the ground there just a batter later. So good job by Frazier putting the Yankees in a position to score a run. Unfortunately, that was all the Yankees offense would get in this one, just 5 hits. You know, you don't want to overstress it, but you have to start to kind of worry about the Yankees offense a little bit early on in the year. You don't want to slump to carry on, and there haven't been many situations where the Yankees offense has done much with guys on base. Another over with runners in scoring position, still leaving guys on base. And, it's something that you hope isn't a common trend throughout this season. Now that we kind of recap the series, there are a couple of things that I want to touch on, and the offense is going to be one of them, so I'm going to start there. We know this team is going to strike out a lot. We just know it. It's in their blueprint. We just know that they have a bunch of guys that are hit or miss, and you're going to have to take the strikeouts along with the successes. However, in a game where opportunity is so important, the Yankees have to find ways to put the ball in play and make things happen. They didn't have a big hit this series. You could point to the Jay Bruce RBI hit as your quote-unquote big hit, but other than that, they really didn't do much damage, especially with runners on. They have to definitely do a better job at that. And I know it's only the 3rd game of the year, and I understand that the way the schedule is, your guys are going to get days off, but Game 3, and Giancarlo Stanton already needs a day off. I just don't understand that. When I saw the lineup, I was expecting Aaron Boone to pull something, whether somebody was going to be out or they were going to sit Sanchez or something like that. But I wasn't expecting Judge to be DHing, Frazier, who I want to see in left field every day, in right field, and Stanton out of the lineup. I didn't expect that, to be quite honest with you. I know they're going to try to get Gardner at bats, but I just didn't understand the logic there. Stanton's batting 4 times a game. If he needs a day off already, we're in a lot of trouble. They owe him a lot of money, and let's face it, he really didn't do much in the first 2 games of the series anyway, so you would have thought that he would have been in the lineup to get on track, but Aaron Boone had other plans there. Now, let's talk about Frazier, shall we? Frazier missed a really ugly fly ball in left field. Frazier's definitely a better right fielder than he is a left fielder. However, I'm going to say this, and I know that I'm going to get a lot of hate from Brett Gardner fans, but it has to be said. I like Brett Gardner. I actually love Brett Gardner. What Brett Gardner has done for this team over the last decade plus, it can't be put into words. I understand the value there, and I understand that, there are situations where Gardner is the better player in the field. However, Aaron Boone keeps telling me, and you, and everybody, that Clint Frazier's his everyday left fielder. We are in a position where we need Frazier to develop for future time. You need him to get that work and that experience that is going to be so valuable down the road. Taking him out late in games for a defensive replacement doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't add up. I want to see Frazier play every single inning, every single day in left field. When you want Gardner to play him in the field. Give him a day off. Use Gardner all over the field. I get there's going to be situations you feel more confident with Gardner out there, and I understand that. But early on in the year, I want them to at least give Clint a chance to hold down the fort in left field. I don't think it's that difficult of a task. I think he's gotten a lot better in the field. I think he's matured a ton. I want to see him actually get the opportunity to do so late in games. I don't understand the logic of still hampering his growth or stunting his growth for that matter. That's not helping him. But letting him play and getting that experience will. And now I know the minute they let him do it and he'll make an error and I'll hear it. I get that. But I would like to see him get that opportunity. And yeah, you want to get Gardner in. I understand that. You want to keep him fresh and locked and loaded and all that. But I think if you're going to commit to Clint being your everyday left fielder, you got to give him that chance to earn it. Let him earn it. He's been very patient at the plate. The results haven't really been there yet, but the patience and the composure at the plate, you got to like it. So, I don't know. I may be in the minority here, but I want to see Clint get that everyday opportunity. And by every day, I mean 9 innings a game. I just think that now is a better time to see what you have in him and if it's possible. Because let's be honest, if his bat starts getting hot, it's going to be very hard for you to take him out of the field. It really is. And he's capable of doing that, and I expect it to come any day now. It could be a couple of days, could be weeks. But his bat's going to come around, and the Yankees are going to be in a position where taking him out really hurts them in case he comes up again later on in the game. I understand the pinch running, but I just want to see him play the field every day and play 9 innings. I want him to get that opportunity. I think it's beneficial to the Yankees long term, and I think that it's a no-brainer for them. Now, on the pitching side of things, you have to be really happy with what you saw, especially Loaisiga and Green. Loaisiga's a guy I've been so high on since last year. You could go back and listen to some of the shows. I love his stuff. I compare him to like a Dellin Betances, that kind of dominance when he's on. And boy, I think the Yankees are going to use him in multiple roles this year. I think he's going to be such an asset to them down the road. You're going to see him in mid-game situations, high leverage situations. I think the Yankees are going to use him in ways that we're not even used to seeing. He's that good. He might actually have the best stuff in the Yankees bullpen. The next guy we're going to talk about is right up there, but if you're looking at straight stuff, Loaisiga's up there. And Chad Green, another guy who is phenomenal. I can't wait to see what Green's able to do this year. Hopefully, he avoids that little slump that he's had over the last 2 years where he has a little spurt where he's not Chad Green. Hopefully, he can avoid that because I think this guy could be one of the most dominant relievers in the game if he can stay on track. And then you look at guys like Litke, who's filling in for the injured Justin Wilson. You look at Darren O'Day, who got 2 appearances this weekend, and you have to be impressed with him. Yeah, he got into a little bit of trouble, but the trouble was caused by little bloop hits. There was nothing really scary about what he let up. They were bloopers. It wasn't anything drastic. You got to just be really impressed with the Yankees' pennant. For the most part, other than Germán, Cole and Kluber did their job. I didn't expect Kluber to throw 7 innings on opening day. I expected him to go 4 or 5 innings. And he did just that. And if you could keep him healthy, it's going to really help this Yankees team because I think he's going to be a guy that gets stronger as time goes on. Once you get him back into that everyday game setting and pitching, I think he's going to be right there and back on track, and it's going to really, and I mean really, help this Yankees team tremendously. But only time will tell. And before we preview the Orioles series, let me remind you, it is not time to panic. Yankees fans, it is not time for you to panic. It happens. You lose 2 of 3, yes. You lose a series to a division foe, yeah. A team that's banged up, it's not fun. But it's early on in the year, and you have to use this as a learning block and as a momentum builder. And you got to get back on track, and it starts on Monday against the Baltimore Orioles, who are 3-0 and really beat up the Red Sox this weekend. It was rather impressive. I didn't expect that out of the O's, but they're coming into Yankee Stadium hot, and the Yankees are going to have to be the bird killers here. So, the first game of the series, Jordan Montgomery makes his first start of the year for the Yankees. He'll be matched up against Jorge Lopez. On Tuesday, the Yankees send Garrett Cole out to the mound, and he'll match up against Dean Kramer. Remember, early on, it seems like Garrett Cole is going to be the lone Yankees pitcher who's going to be pitching on regular rest. The Yankees want to keep him on track, and I think that Cole is in favor of staying on that regular schedule to keep him going. So he'll pitch in Game 2 of this series, and in Game 3 on Wednesday, I'm excited for this one. Jameson Taillon makes his Yankees debut. He'll go up against John Means, who was really good in the Orioles season opener against the Red Sox. That'll be the final game of that 3-game set before the Yankees have an off day on Thursday before heading to Tampa as they begin their first road trip of the season. That will be a road trip in which they go to Tampa, and then they will go to Florida to retake on the Toronto Blue Jays. So, Yankee fans, don't panic. It's only one series. Yes, unfortunately, they didn't win it. We would have loved to have seen them take the series in the Bronx to start the year, get off on the right foot. But as we all know, there's 162 games in a baseball season. Do the math. We have 159 more of these to go. And I'm sure this Yankees team is going to figure it out. This offense will not be quiet for long, or at least we hope it won't be. But as always, as the Yankees keep rolling on with their season and more news, information, updates, you name it, come along regarding the New York Yankees, you know where to catch us. Right here on the Pinstripe Talk podcast, we'll be here to break it all down for you. If you're new to our show, we thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule to talk some Yankees baseball with us. If you're a returning listener, we thank you for your continued support. If you missed it earlier in the show, follow us on social media at Pinstripe Talk ND. My personal account at Nick Delahanty. Find us on Facebook by searching up Pinstripe Talk Podcast. Our show is available on all podcasting platforms, including but not limited to Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio. You name it, the show is there available for you. We're also on YouTube by searching up Delahanty Media. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, subscribe, rate, and review on whatever platform you listen to our show. All the feedback is definitely appreciated. And go to our website, DelahantyMedia.com, for all the latest news and updates regarding the Delahanty Media brand. You know, the Yankees lost their opening weekend series, but I got to say, it's great to have baseball back. I don't know about you guys, but I've been glued to the TV, been watching a bunch of games. I'm just soaking it all in. It's beautiful to have games, and it's even more fun to hear actual fans in the seats. Hopefully, come the middle part of this week, we'll have a positive show for you where the Yankees hopefully take care of business against the O's. And of course, we'll look ahead to the Yankees' upcoming schedule. Until next time, remember, keep those pinstripes on. Let's go Yankees. You know, the season's not over. Let's not panic just yet. Once again, my name is Nick Delahanty, and I'm the host of the Pinstripe Talk podcast, powered to you by Delahanty Media. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll talk to you really soon. Take care, everyone.